Thank you for tuning into Truth Broadcast Network and welcome to the Nightly News. This newscast consists of late-breaking information created by the world's truth activists which lay bare the deceptions being perpetrated by the New World Order. The work of these activists appearing on the Truth Broadcast Network should not be construed as an endorsement of them or their other work. That said, these videos were specifically chosen by the network and we thank the tireless activists for producing them. During this broadcast it is especially important to see the evidence being presented, so try to watch the nightly news at www.truthbroadcastnetwork.com.
The Russian president says Moscow has pulled its troops back from the Ukrainian border. Vladimir Putin was speaking after meeting his Swiss counterpart, who's also an OSCE chairman.
We've constantly been told that our troops near the Ukrainian borders are stirring concerns. We've pulled them back. Today, they're not located near the Ukrainian border, but at the locations of their regular exercises.
President Putin also urged dialogue between Kiev and Ukraine's southeast, suggesting the referendum on its independence should be postponed. Matt Treza's got that side of the story.
During this press conference with the chairman of the OSCE, Vladimir Putin, suggesting that the pro-autonomy referendum in the Donetsk region in the east of Ukraine should still be held. However, he feels it should be postponed till a later date.
We ask the representatives of southeastern Ukraine and pro-federalization supporters to postpone the referendum on the region's autonomy, scheduled for the 11th of May this year.
Putin says the West is blaming Russia when the situation in Ukraine is actually in deadlock, whereas it's the West who he claims has been supporting an illegitimate coup in Kiev. Moscow saying that it wants to resolve this crisis in the interest of all citizens of Ukraine and that all of their points of view should be taken into account in seeking a resolution. Putin accusing far-right radical groups of not laying down their arms and also saying that Kiev is not doing enough, in his opinion, to instigate them to lay down their arms and cease their fighting in those parts of the country. For his part, the OSCE chairman, Mr. Burkhalter, saying that the OSCE is urging a halt of fighting and hostilities in Ukraine and that the organization is planning to introduce its own roadmap to peace in Ukraine.
President Putin also praised the release of the People's Governor of Donetsk, Pavel Gubarev. He was arrested soon after he gained popularity among those seeking autonomy in the region. Gubarev's family say that they've been receiving multiple threats before his detention and were offered money for giving up political activity. Putin said the release marked a considerable step forward, adding, though, that others should also walk free. The leader of separatists in another city, Lugansk, along with many anti-Kiev activists, were also jailed and remain behind bars tonight.
If you're heading to Yosemite National Park for your summer vacation, leave your drone at home. The park officials announced Friday they've banned drones throughout the entire park. They say the use of them will ruin the experience for visitors with their buzzing and could potentially interfere with the rescue operations that happen every year there and, of course, the natural habitats of animals, especially falcons. And parks aside, the Federal Aviation Administration has tried to ban commercial drone use since 2007, something dozens of top media organizations argue violates journalists' First Amendment rights to freedom of speech. The ban was overturned by the National Transportation Safety Board in March when an administrative judge ruled that this video of the University of Virginia shot by a Swiss drone operator was legal because the FAA had no enforceable rules on drones. The FAA is appealing that ruling. Now, the AP, New York Times, National Press Photographers Association are encouraging the NTSB to continue to block similar efforts by the FAA to ban drones. In a brief to the agency, they wrote, "The news media underscore the critical need for the National Transportation Safety Board as it reviews the administrative law judge's decision in this case to safeguard the public's First Amendment interest in the free flow of information." The organizations argue that drones help news reporters in their work, including by helping them access dangerous areas. If it weren't for a drone, we wouldn't be able to capture the tornado wreckage last month in Arkansas.
Last Friday, dozens of anti-government activists died in a building besieged and set ablaze by extremists. But as an eyewitness told us, those who weren't killed by the smoke and fire were soon finished off by the mob.
That terrible blaze in the labor union building, how did it happen? You were inside, right?
Yes, we were inside. On our way up the stairs, we were taking plywood sheets inside, so that we could block the doors and prevent them from getting into the building. The crowd was quickly becoming bigger. They were coming from everywhere. First of all, nobody expected such cruelty, and secondly, it was too late to escape. They started hurling Molotov cocktails, after which the first and the third floors burst into flames. They were also throwing firecrackers, so people in the halls were sitting on the floor, blinded. At that moment, you realize there is no way to help these people, so you'd better rescue yourself. The outraged crowd outside was shouting that they wouldn't let anybody out alive. The police were idle, not doing anything. When firefighters arrived, it was too late. Too many people had already died, even though the closest fire station is 700 meters away from the site. 17-year-old hooligans were finishing people off with bats.
There were many photos published from inside the building. Some of them showed dead people with bullet holes. Why was that? Did you see anyone shooting at you?
The shooting started at Grecheskaya Street. There were lots of people with gunshot wounds. Half an hour into the fighting, we lost 3 activists and 1 policeman. All were killed.
But did they shoot at the building?
Yes, they did. Have a look at the video. This armed man in a vest is carrying a gun. Many people were strangled. I don't know how they managed to get through the fire, but they did.
So activists did get inside the building?
Yes, the pro-government activists were able to get inside. They finished off some of the people who managed to escape. Others were thrown out of the windows.
A very important question, because many have been concerned with this. Ukraine's Interior Ministry suggested there were foreigners inside the building, including those among the dead.
No, they all came from Odessa. They all loved their city deeply.
Now let's talk about the things that are going on in our skies. We have every country will have an armed drone within 10 years. And they also have these things flying the U.S. border, the U.S.-Mexico border, and also the U.S.-Canada border. Drones are already in the United States. I'm not just talking about the smaller drones that you can go buy someplace like Walmart. They have the big Predator drones flying our borders, but they don't want you to know about this. And now we have this article out of Defense One, and buried in the second paragraph, it says, so far, 23 countries have developed or are developing armed drones, according to a recent report by the RAND organization. It's only a matter of time before the lethal technology spreads, several experts say. And if you say, what's wrong with these drones? Well, there's a lot of things wrong with these drones. If you go to prisonplanet.tv, you can see the great report we did a couple years back. Obama orders children murdered. And this was the running tally, I believe, around 2012 of all the children that have been killed in these drone strikes, because people want you to think that these are surgical precision tools. They are not surgical precision tools. They'll knock down half an apartment complex to kill 10 guys. They'll blow up an entire wedding party to get 1 suspected terrorist. And just like Captain America said, I thought the punishment came after the crime. They kill these guys even though they're not currently engaged in any illegal activity at the time. So go and watch that report, Obama Orders Children Murdered, on prisonplanet.tv. Now we have this Boko Haram terror attack in Nigeria opens door to AFRICOM. According to a report posted yesterday by Vanguard, a Nigerian newspaper, the jihadist terror group Boko Haram stormed a town and killed around 300 people.
Here's what Boko Haram says they want. 1. A stricter version of Sharia law than the one currently in place in northern parts of Nigeria. 2. An end to Western education because it's run by infidels.
Whilst others claim to be Muslim, but have lost traces of Islam. What? All in the name of being educated.
3. Death to those who don't share their beliefs. And 4. Death to a government they see as corrupt and blasphemous.
And you can find more on this on Infowars.com. Medical drug pumping microchip planned to be carried out by 2017. Currently, drug reservoir chips can be implanted right under the skin, delivering pharmaceuticals of all kinds. But here's the troubling part of this. They won't be controlled by you, but rather by medical professionals. Now, this chip reminds me of my time when I used to work at Circuit City before they went bankrupt. And what happened is we can never control our own air conditioning. We'd have to call some guy in Minnesota or whatever. Hey, man, it's too hot or it's too cold. And he's like, well, is it really too hot Is it really too cold? Do you really need that air? Do you really need that heat? I'm like, yeah, man, the customers are freaking out in here. It's boiling hot in here. And now you have the same situation, but they want to put this inside of your body. I personally will not be getting this. It's too close to the mark of the beast for my taste. But let's say you do get it and you're out at some protest or, Occupy, whatever. And the police say, hey, we want to shut these guys down so then they can have some medical professional dial into your microchip, release some type of sedative, and knock you out. Of course, they could do it for, things such as, flu vaccines or whatever else. But you got to think about the big picture. Do you really want something in your body that you cannot control, that you have to call somebody and say, can you please turn this off or turn this up? It's just another way for them to control you, and I would highly recommend that you do not go along with it.
Thank you for tuning into Truth Broadcast Network and welcome to the Nightly News. During this broadcast, it is especially important to see the evidence being presented, so try to watch the Nightly News at www.truthbroadcastnetwork.com.
I could totally see Jakari Jackson working in Circuit City, too.
Hello, thank you for watching the Political Port. NYPD cops have now raided a dead man's home, who's been dead for 8 years, constantly since he's died. 4 times just this year alone. It's only May. And no matter how many times the family shows them the death certificate and has even resorted to posting it on their door, their front door, the cops can't get the fucking message that he has passed. What was his crime? Murder? No. Rape? No. Child molestation? No. Armed robbery? No. Home invasion? No. Drunk driving and killing somebody? No. Jumping a fucking turnstile. Jumping a turnstile, folks. They have raided his home over and over and over and over and over again for jumping a fucking turnstile. And we're not in a police state? There's people out there who are still saying we're not in a police state? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This man allegedly jumped a turnstile, and thus that has warranted his home to be raided over and over and over again via SWAT teams, mind you. Newsflash, coppers, you don't need a fucking SWAT team for everything. Okay? I mean, this is insane. The man's name is James Jordan Sr., and he passed away in 2006 from diabetes. And I mean, it's just insane. It is absolutely insane what they are doing to this family. This, to me, is harassment. And then they threaten them when they come into their home. If you don't be quiet, we're going to arrest you too. I would just be arrested so I could take that shit to court and say, these motherfuckers have harassed us time in, day out, no matter how many times, just so that the court system can be embarrassed by what these officers have done, just so they can get a little bit of embarrassment, because sometimes that's needed. But I just can't even fathom their rationale. Obviously, they have none. But I mean, how corrupt? What corruption that they just sit there and harass this family, whose loved one has passed, and they, have to keep rehashing this shit. It's just insane. It is. I don't know. Maybe it's time we turn the tables. When shit like this happens, they have no problems raiding your house, so maybe you should have no problems raiding theirs. I mean, I don't know. What is the answer to this bullshit? What is the answer to this intrusive, invasive police state where they think they have the right to break down someone's door and raid their home day in and day out because somebody jumped a fucking turnstile? Is the punishment really fitting the crime? Oh, and again, this man is dead, so... I mean, they're saying that they're hiding him in their home. He's dead. What do they have to resort to? Putting his body on the front door for them to see? I mean, what's it gonna take for these cops to stop their fucking harassment of this family? What is it gonna take? And even then, they probably sit there and fingerprint the corpse just to make sure. I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And to those cops who keep doing this, have you no shame? Have you no shame? It's a fucking turnstile. It's a turnstile! And you're raiding their home for a turnstile. There's no molesters you can run out there and get. There's no murderers you can be trying to find right now. There's no rapists you can be trying to find. You have to spend your fucking time 4 times just this year to try and find somebody who allegedly jumped a turnstile long before 2006. He died in 2006. You done missed the mark. It's 2014 now. Wow. Wow. This is what your tax dollars are paying for. They're New Yorkers. For these NYPD fucks to raid somebody's home who died in 2006. They couldn't have caught him before then. You know, it's taken them this long. They can't even catch a dead body. How sad is that? I mean, it's not like he'd be resisting arrest if they pulled him from his coffin, right? I mean, this is insane. I can't even take it anymore. This is how insane it is. And then you've got this... Never mind. I won't even get into the next... I'll make another video with the new mayor. Wow. I guess what it's going to take is that this family needs guards in front of their home 24/7 to stop any such raid from this point forward. I mean, or, again, turn the tables and raid their homes and see how they like it. I mean, I don't even know, folks. I don't even know what the answer is. It's just insanity. It's insane. And if these people were to stand up for themselves and shoot these motherfuckers in the face for invading their home, because these people have been told time and time and time again, this person is dead, you don't rate to be here, stop coming to my home, this is harassment. If they were to protect themselves about these armed people coming in their home, they'd be deemed the bad guys. It's fucking crazy. Lunatics are running the asylum. I mean, it's insane. Anyway, I will post the article below in the description box for you to check out. If you can help this family, please do, because this is too much. This is just too much. You know, this is insane. A SWAT team for a fucking turnstile jumper? Really? Wow. And a dead one at that. He passed away. I mean, this is just insane. All it is now is just harassment. It's just full-blown harassment and intimidation. That's it. There's no sense in this. Anyways, I'll leave the links below. Got hair up in my nose. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at PoliticalPort. Please share this so more people can find out about this, because this is just... They need to be held accountable for their actions. This is insane. Feel free to subscribe and try and have a good day. Thanks for watching. Hello, thank you for watching the Political Report. I'm going to enclose an article in the description box that discusses this new hate speech bullshit they're trying to push, where if you just say something quote-unquote rude, it's hate speech. I mean, they're literally trying to classify anything as hate speech. And what I really wanted you to take out from this article is this. There's a picture, and they could have just written the article with this, and that's all they needed to say, because it's the truth. And Thus, I'll read it for you now. Get this through your head. The people now in charge of America, those running the federal government and their cronies in Hollywood and the media, hate Americans. They have hated us for generations, hated our 3-bedroom ranch subdivisions and 2-car garages, hated our neighborhood schools, our churches, our safe communities, our success, prosperity, and well-being. They want to see us brought to our knees, impoverished, living in third world squalor, cold and sick and hopeless, and they will use their power to get what they can. Just to let you know what's coming. So yes, folks, these people may reside in America, but they hate America with every fiber of their being. They pay homage to other countries. A lot of them are dual citizens, and they have no intent, none, of A, following the Constitution, and B, doing what's best and what's right for America and Americans. In fact, their sole intent is to do the opposite. And you need to wake the fuck up. Our freedoms are literally being taken every second of the day. In the same description box, I'm going to put another article, which is about a mayor in Carson, California, who is achieving these new anti-bullying laws, or trying to achieve these new anti-bullying laws. He wants to put in effect like a 1-paragraph thing. It will be a misdemeanor if you cause harm to anyone from kindergarten through age 25 to feel terrorized, frightened, intimidated, threatened, harassed, or molested with no legitimate purpose. Legitimate purpose. So who decides what's legitimate? I mean, people these days have such thin skin. They feel intimidated over the smallest things. He blinked at me wrong. I mean, it's just so crazy. Americans at one time were known for their thick skin, for their, backbone, for their balls, so to speak. And now we're just a bunch of little pussies running around. Just, oh my God, he hurt my feelings. Yes, it's a good thing to teach your children to be nice to others, to be respectful, to, just be all around good people. But at the same time, you should be preparing them for the real fucking world where not everybody is nice and not everybody is going to stifle themselves because they don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. And maybe you should be teaching your children how to get some thick skin and to take criticism and to take other people's opinions and feelings and just, okay, suck it up and deal. Why does everybody have to be so sensitive? We have to be sensitive and process our feelings. But you can only have the same feelings as me. If your feelings are different, you're a bully. I mean, it's just insane. This PC bullshit has got to go. Does not belong in America in any way, shape, or form. And yet, we the people who are supposed to have backbones and balls are letting this shit run rampant. And we need to nip this shit in the bud right now. Not tomorrow. Today. It just makes me crazy. I mean, people run their mouths all the time to me, and you just click and move on. I mean, it's like, who gives a shit about these people? They don't pay my bills, so I don't give a fuck about them. Just shut up and move on. But these people are going to the point now that they want charges pressed. We have to file a misdemeanor because I felt harassed. It's like, really? Stop talking to them then. Fucking genius. I mean, I get people, there's some people out there that go above and beyond with harassing, stalking, things like that. I get that. But they're not talking about that. They're talking about just anybody disagreeing with them, they can just file a misdemeanor in that city and, you know, these people will get cited. Are you fucking kidding me? Give me a fucking break. But this goes right along with those who hate America and hate American ideals. You can't have the freedom to express yourself without now being charged for with a misdemeanor? You fucking kidding me? To those ass fucks who keep pushing this shit in America, get the fuck out. If you don't like what America is and what it's about, get the fuck out. Don't change it. Don't try and change it. Just get the fuck out. Nobody is begging you to be here. Just go. There's plenty of other countries that will cater to your bullshit. But we're done catering to your bullshit here. Just get the fuck out. Just go. And for you dual citizens in the government, you can get the fuck out too. Go back to the other country you paid homage to. Go there. Let's see if they'll put up with your bullshit, because we're done putting up with it here. Alright folks, I will leave the 2 links in the description box. Feel free to share. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at PoliticalPort. Feel free to leave comments below and have a wonderful day.
Thank you for tuning into Truth Broadcast Network and welcome to the Nightly News. This newscast consists of late-breaking information created by the world's truth activists which lay bare the deceptions being perpetrated by the New World Order. The work of these activists appearing on the Truth Broadcast Network should not be construed as an endorsement of them or their other work. That said, these videos were specifically chosen by the network and we thank the tireless activists for producing them. During this broadcast it is especially important to see the evidence being presented, so try to watch the nightly news at www.truthbroadcastnetwork.com.
The White House was sent into lockdown this morning after an unidentified car breached a security checkpoint. It tried to follow a motorcade carrying President Obama's daughters when it was stopped by Secret Service officers. The driver was arrested and the car checked for explosives. The area remained locked down for a little over an hour until the checkpoint was cleared.
Public-funded documentary about Aaron Swartz, the late computer prodigy and digital rights activist, is set for release. The co-founder of the popular social networking service Reddit fought for a free and open internet, but a US government case against the programmer is thought to have driven him to suicide at the age of 26. RT's Marina Portnaya spoke to the director of the documentary about Swartz's legacy.
Freedoms our country had been built on would be suddenly deleted. I couldn't let that happen.
He was known as the online Robin Hood. The Internet's Own Boy is an independent documentary that looks at the life of a prodigy, programmer, and activist.
Stop sober!
Aaron Swartz fearlessly fought against government efforts to censor the Internet, but it was the relentless federal prosecution against him that supporters say caused Swartz to commit suicide in January 2013 at the age of 26.
Aaron Swartz was not a criminal.
As a teenager, Swartz helped build RSS coding and web application framework. He was the technical architect of Creative Commons and one of the co-founders of Reddit.
A significant turn in Aaron's life happened when they sold Reddit to Condé Nast. He became a very rich 19-year-old, and instead of continuing along that kind of startup path, he made a really decisive turn towards political organizing and social justice issues, and used his skills really in the service of public interest.
And what he cared about was making public information truly public, that is, free and accessible to everyone.
It's certainly a part of his nature. It's a part of the fabric of his being, and you see that in the film right from the beginning. This idea that it's not just enough to live in the world, that you can push beyond that you can question your surroundings, question the status quo.
And here, on RT, Swartz would appear as a frequent guest, questioning more about government surveillance and the erosion of privacy.
And in fact, they provided no evidence of the Patriot Act successfully being used to catch any terrorists. They admit that the courts have said what they're doing is illegal. And now they want Congress to rubber stamp it anyway.
Aaron was fiercely passionate, driven by justice, but also filled with humility. Every time he visited our New York bureau for interviews, he was gracious and incredibly kind. The last time I spoke with Aaron, we discussed cyber warfare and the vulnerabilities citizens face online. 3 months later, he was gone.
Despite his tragic death, Swartz's story was far from over. Through a Kickstarter campaign, a documentary about his life raised nearly $94,000 in funding from supporters and donors.
It showed us that there was a real community of people that wanted to hear this story and that were outraged and angry and about what had happened to Aaron, but also, I think, inspired by him.
Inspired to remember a young man who helped build the internet and spent his life fighting to keep it in the hands of the public. Marina Portnaya, RT, New York.
Iran has rejected as baseless a Western media report that Tehran wants to send chlorine bombs to Syria. Iran's foreign ministry says such allegations reflected in the British newspaper The Daily Telegraph are part of a wider media campaign against the Islamic Republic.
A large explosion in the northern Syrian city of Aleppo has destroyed a hotel and several other buildings, state media and activists report. Rebel fighters are believed to have detonated a bomb placed in a tunnel beneath the Carlton Citadel Hotel, near the city's ancient citadel and souk. Opposition activists said that government troops were based there. In recent weeks, rebels have been trying to advance on areas of Aleppo where government forces are entrenched. Rebel-held areas of Aleppo have come under fierce aerial bombardment since mid-December.
Review time, partner! For those who hate being lied to, consider yourself blessed. Because you are not supposed to see this right here. You were not supposed to see any of this. You were not even supposed to think of this. This was not supposed to go into your eye gate, into your mind. Until now. Thanks to PK22 exposing this. Looking into it. Having the audacity to question it. While other people running around. It's a real thing. People really got injured and people really died. Oh, yeah. Well, look at this. This cannot be debunked. What do we got here? Well, PK exposed that there's a fake dummy in this picture. You mean the lady in the blue? Yeah, the lady in the blue. She is a fake dummy. But also the little kid. Oh, you can't talk about the kid. Oh, yes, I can. It's a fake kid. Look at the shoes. I mean, come on. Who would dress a kid like that? But let's get on with it. The legs. This is unnatural. It's in an unnatural pose, just like a little doll. And we see here, look, she barely even holding this kid. How you going to hold the kid and they holding this position? But let's just move it over. Oh, yeah, didn't know I could do that, did you? Look at that. In the same position. Barely holding it, legs in that angle. Completely unnatural. Let's see here. Let's go over here. Well, dang and doggone it. Barely holding them. Same legs. Boom. Boom. This ain't looking too good. Not looking too good for this case here. Oh, it's the same situation. Now, mind you, she been holding this girl for 90 seconds. Long time. I don't even think Iron Man could do that. Look at this. Look at the angle. What the heck? That's a right angle. I mean, perfect. Look at this crap. That don't even make sense. Super fake. Super stiff. Okay, look at this. Wow. Look how she's swinging the kid around, the fake kid. And look. Boom. Still straight as heck. What happened to gravity? I guess gravity don't exist in the Boston bombing. Fake bombing, firecracker. Look at that. So perfect. Oh, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Look at that. Okay, now she taking the kid back somewhere. Not even holding the kid. The kid's supposedly holding on to her. Yeah, right. Look at them little fake arms. And then she puts the kid down. Where did she leave the kid? Mother, what you do with your kid? She don't care. She don't care about that fake kid. He calls it a Boston beast. Why? Because she got beast on the back of her shirt. And she is a beast. We see her still here with no kid. Oh, and look, somebody else magically has the same kid. Doing the same stuff with the same fake angle of the legs. Can you debunk that? No, you can't. And as you can see, she barely holding the kid. How is that even possible? And now she's faking like she holding the kid. But the legs are in the same position, haven't even moved. And I even made it real easy for you to see in this one picture. So stop with your lying. The whole thing was fake.
I want to talk about the situation in Ukraine. I'm now joined live from Washington by Daniel McAdams. He's the Executive Director at the Ron Paul Institute. Sir, thanks for being with us. The US has repeatedly praised Kiev, we're going to hear it again in a minute, for showing restraint in trying to de-escalate the situation. Yet we also, what happened in Odessa and what looks like was allowed to happen. How do those things tally up?
Well, it's interesting because in Kiev, not that many months ago, a couple of months to be exact, unarmed police forces were set out against violent protesters, and the U.S. government, including the President and Secretary of State, said they were, quote, disgusted by the show of force against these protesters. And you see in Ukraine, it's obvious that the government in Kiev is using the military against its own citizens. It's blockading cities, starving people out. This is exactly what the U.S. has used as a pretext for attack in places like Libya and elsewhere. So the hypocrisy of the U.S. side is absolutely stunning.
And even up until less than an hour ago, we had Mary Harf there from the State Department, again, praising Ukraine's, as they're calling it, restraint, their good judgment. Let's listen into that clip a second. Bear with me, we're coming straight back. We're going to take a listen.
We have clearly said the Ukrainian government has showed great restraint in the face of overwhelming challenges, but that they also have a responsibility to maintain law and order for their own people. I think that's probably as much as I want to say on that. And that the onus really is on the Russian government to pull back, to pull their folks out of eastern Ukraine, and to take de-escalatory steps as we move towards the elections, which need to happen on the 25th.
Well, you heard what she had to say. What do you think about that?
You have to wonder what reality these people are occupying. I mean, they tried to pull a fast one, the State Department did a couple of weeks ago, when they put out these phony photos of what they claimed were Russian forces in Ukraine. The person who took the pictures, as you know, said they're completely phony. New York Times was burned on the State Department's lies. To its credit, the New York Times actually sent some people into eastern Ukraine, and they reported just a couple of days ago that actually these militias don't contain any Russians whatsoever, and the people don't necessarily want to join Russia anyway. They're using old, worn-out weapons. So the State Department just continues to pile lie upon lie, and it's absolutely revolting.
Well, let's try and find some little glimmer of light maybe at the end of this long, dark tunnel. They're saying that the presidential elections at the end of this month should shine a little more light on it. Things should be better after that, no?
Well, how can you run a presidential election when the army is firing on its own people? You know, I've been an election monitor many times in bad situations, and it's simply impossible. Likewise, I'm afraid to say these referendums in the East will simply be ignored by the U.S., whereas if the result that's desired comes out of the presidential elections, the U.S. will say, and the OSCE will say, it's wonderfully democratic.
We've seen so graphically just in the last hour, one little snapshot again of the tragedy that's going on there. We saw a 30-year-old woman shot. We saw a family crying in the background. Any death there, it's horrendous for the family, the friends of everyone there. We're still hearing at the same time America calling on the people in the East there to lay down their arms. At the same time, they're backing the interim Kiev government going in, cracking down here. How does it add up? They're calling for one thing and yet doing another.
Well, you see already there's reports in the German press over the weekend that the U.S. CIA and FBI have sent in at least a couple of dozen people to advise the Ukrainian government on how to crack down. Perhaps they were advising them on assassination techniques and these sorts of things. One never knows.
Daniel, thank you for your time. Daniel McAdams there, Executive Director at Ron Paul Institute. Thank you in Washington.
Thank you for tuning into Truth Broadcast Network and welcome to the Nightly News. During this broadcast, it is especially important to see the evidence being presented, so try to watch the Nightly News at www.truthbroadcastnetwork.com.
A presumably naked man laughs open-mouthed as water trickles from his bright red face, soaking the Google Glass headset he is wearing in the shower. This infamous image, posted online by tech futurist Robert Scoble just over 12 months ago, encapsulated the excitement among early adopters of this technology. Glass, a voice-controlled wearable headset connected to the internet, promised a transformation of the way we interact with computers, and each other. A year on and it's Scoble's enthusiasm that has been dampened. I'm wearing it right now, he says. It's really useless. I can't store more than 20 contacts, and I can't take photos and put them on Instagram or Facebook. Getting apps on here is a pain. Scoble, who works for US IT firm Rackspace, still uses the device, however he cites a long list of concerns. The battery life is too short, it is a little too heavy for some wearers, and the interface which allows apps to access Glass's various features still needs work. Google's engineers are no doubt hard at work on these issues ahead of its public launch, expected later this year. However, technical problems may not be the biggest barrier to Glass catching on. A backlash against Glass has been rapidly gathering pace for entirely different reasons in recent months. It's the most controversial product of my lifetime, says Scoble.
Mr. Kissinger, can we get a selfie, please? A picture? Just a quick picture. Just me and you. But also just, hold on. I'm sorry. Can we just get it really quickly? I just want to know, when you said depopulation should be the interest of the world, you said depopulation should be the highest interest of U.S. foreign policy.
And I cited a lot from you. Can I get a quick picture with you, with my friend?
What did you mean by depopulation should be the priority of U.S. foreign policy for the third world? What did you mean by that, Mr. Kissinger?
I wrote a thesis on 300 years of Russian-Chinese relations and cited you so much. Thank you so much, Doctor. Mr. Kissinger.
It went straight. Exhausting work.
Got that right. This is what it takes to get some of these.
Hey, good to see you. Just a simple question. What did you mean by depopulation should have been the priority of U.S. foreign policy against the third world? Shame me. I'm not wanted for mass murder in different countries, unlike you, sir. How does it feel? All the millions, all the dictatorships, all the overthrows.
We'll be held accountable for them one way or another.
I guess. All right. Good job. No matter what happens, if you want something in life and you're persistent,
You will get it. These people think they're higher than us, but they're not. When you ask them a simple question like what we just did, you see them run away or hide behind their security guards when they walk in or anywhere else. It shows they run away like a cockroach that he is.
Want to wait outside for him?
Yeah. I got time. I got nothing but time.
Can you expand on your quote when you said military men are dumb, stupid animals to be used as pawns for foreign policy?
I never said that.
Bob Woodward said you said that. Hi, Mr. Kissinger. It's a pleasure. How you doing? I just wanted to know.
Defense Research Institute recently issued a report called Recruiting Older Youths that breaks down lots of revealing facts about who enlists in the U.S. military and why. As the report's title suggests, people enlisting today are older than they used to be. It used to be just teenage kids signing up, but now they're finding people in their 20s are enlisting more and more often. The report finds many reasons for this. Some want to go to college first now before entering the service, and 38% of older recruits said they just wanted to take time off after high school, which fits right in with the media's lazy millennial narrative. And about a third of the older recruits said they just wanted to get a regular job, but there are none, so they joined the military instead. The report largely focuses on recruits being older. But then, buried on page 25 of the report is this interesting subhead. The military is a family business. And in that section, things get really interesting. They describe how a whopping 83% of those surveyed said they had at least one close family member in the military. 8 out of 10 people signing up for the U.S. military have close relatives already serving. That's a huge percentage. 38% of recruits said their father was in the military. The rest were all very close relatives, like their moms, cousins, uncles, aunts, or siblings. The report actually says that this rate of being related is statistically significant, hence they're deeming it a family business. They also found that about half of those surveyed said they had an even older family member who had retired, meaning their families had a long history of serving in the military. The report says this long history fosters encouragement from parents and relatives, which plays a huge role in the recruit's decision to serve, especially in the youngest recruits. So that explains why a lot of people join the U.S. military, even though we hear countless reports about how there's an epidemic of suicide among servicemen, or how this country treats its vets like refuse when they return home. People sign up for the military anyway because it's encouraged through the generations. It's a family business, and it has a lot in common with another famous family business, the mob. They both use force to intimidate, they both take what's not theirs, and they both kill people. One real big difference, though, is that the military has a lot more powerful, expensive toys. Tonight, let's talk about that by following me on Twitter @TheResident.
What do you think could be used to, bring both Russia and NATO back into that cooperative mode?
Well, I think, first of all, emotions have to calm. I don't think that nobody is perfectly good and nobody is perfectly...
It's not black and white or
no,
right or
it's
wrong.
not black and white, it's not black and white. So, of course, I understand the Russian-speaking part of Ukraine, they are afraid to be dominated by the other. That's understandable. The feeling in certain countries of the West is that Russia is able to maneuver things in a way, that part of Ukraine goes back into Russia, And so that would be difficult to accept because It would change Europe. It would change the boundaries. You know, it would be very, very, very difficult to accept this thing. So
you mean to accept Russia incorporating Ukraine? But do you believe that there is a serious intention on Russia's part?
Personally, I don't. But if you ask us in a hypothetical case, this is what is discussed. Personally, I don't think it will happen. And I don't think it's in the interest of Russia, by the way. So, you know, there is this mutual misunderstanding. And as I say, if you count things and you look with cold eyes, if it is possible, you have a country which is Ukraine, a fragile country, a difficult country, a complicated country with a bad economy. It did not go through the reforms everybody expected they went. And so they don't really have a real, yes, they have a government, but they don't have elections. So they, you know, it is a very fluid situation, you know. But if you say that you respect the independence of that country and you have special rights for those people who speak Russian and feel they are Russian, I think that would be agreeable for everybody.
Thank you for tuning into Truth Broadcast Network and welcome to the Nightly News. During this broadcast, it is especially important to see the evidence being presented, so try to watch the Nightly News at www.truthbroadcastnetwork.com.
In a chilling video released Monday, the leader of the Islamic extremist group Boko Haram claimed responsibility for the abduction of nearly 300 girls from a school in northeast Nigeria.
Okay, that's the New World Order Psychological Operations. Tune in to Death to the New World Order to learn more on that bullshit.
In an interview with ABC 6 years ago, you said the United States has made Osama bin Laden a prophet and a saint in the Islamic world. Is he still held that way, do you think?
We should not have given him this value or this status. Who is he, bin Laden?
He committed a heinous act.
Bin Laden made this heinous act.
You don't think what Osama bin Laden did was wrong?
Was he on board one of those aircraft that hit the towers?
But he took credit for sending them.
This is another thing. I don't think that in front of us we have a court sentence vis-à-vis bin Laden or in this regard. The terrorists who hit New York are not from Afghan. They're not Afghani.
ما طلعوش بالطائرات من أفغانستان أو من العراق.
They did not use the airplanes or take off from Iraq or Afghanistan by airplanes.
طلعوا من مطار كندي هنا.
They flew from JFK airport here in New York.
هو العمل كله حصل داخل أمريكا.
The whole action was done here.
وتدربوا هنا في أمريكا.
They were trained here.
لم يتدربوا في العراق ولم يتدربوا في أفغانستان.
They did not train, or they were not trained in Iraq or in Afghan.
Oh, okay. We'll be right back. Next, Muammar Gaddafi's very unique solution for peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Is it true?
I'd like some truths. You'll get your truths right now. Where is my truths? This is the truths theme tune. The truths usually follows the tune. Dum 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 truth. This is a new type of advert, isn't it? Close up with vegetables. So ever since they've said we've got to eat vegetables, someone explained to me that them saying like fruit and vegetables make you live longer. It's a radical oversimplification of some information, right? So what they've done is they compiled loads of information going, vegetables, oh look, people that eat lots of fruit and vegetables live longer, right? But people who eat lots of fruit and vegetables also tend to be people who've got a lot of money because they can afford loads of fresh fruit and vegetables, which are comparatively expensive. And if you've got lots of money, there's loads of reasons why you're likely to live longer. You're not dependent on an overstretched NHS. You're living in a lovely big house instead of outside under a bridge or under constant strain and stress. You're not encountering stress and strain. But the scientists took that information and said, eat more fruit and veg, eat more fruit and veg. You, as an individual, are responsible for your own health. Eat more fruit and veg. Where they could have gone, hey, we need a society where there is more fairness, because then everyone would have the kind of lifestyles that the people that eat a lot of fruit and veg have. So the scientists deliberately reached the wrong conclusion, because the scientists want things to stay the same. It's not like a conspiracy like, we are scientists. It's just there's a prevailing psychological order, and people can't break out of that frequency because there's too many vested interests. The people that own these newspapers, the people that pay for scientific research, the people that govern the countries, the people that make the laws, all are in the same strata of consciousness, the same tribal link of consciousness and ideas. So new ideas can't break in. Government is just organised society for the best possible outcome for the biggest number of people. That's not what's happening at all, is it? Like, right, this is what's best for everyone. It's just a total blag. Ding! Complete protection for a healthy mouth. The #1 brand used by dentists. Colgate Professional Survey. That's amazing. I love that. Hi, it's Colgate here. Could you like do a survey on what's the best toothpaste? Yeah, all right. It's Aquafresh. We're not going to pay for that. It's Colgate. There's your money. The mounting proof that tax cuts make all richer. How to get 3 times more juice from your lemons. This actually is probably more useful information than anything else in here. A typical lemon contains 3 tablespoons full of juice. To maximise the amount you can squeeze, roll the fruit on the kitchen counter, applying light pressure. This bursts the tiny little juice-filled cells. Then cut lengthways rather than crosswise. You'll get around 3 times more juice. Well, that's actually quite helpful. That's the only thing in this whole paper that's worth knowing. That's a lie, that thing about it's like cut taxes for rich people. That isn't true, but that is a good way to get lemons. They should put this lemon person in charge of everything. Having triplet sisters left me feeling like an only child. Well, you should have looked at them. There's 3 kids in the next room, you maniac. Oh, God, I'm so lonely. Shut up in there! Can I borrow your hairdryer? Can I touch you? I've crushed your Subbuteo fingers. So lonely. Oh, God, I need someone to talk to around here. Makes you ashamed to be British. I'm ashamed to be British. Don't think of yourself in those terms if it's having a negative... I'm British, yeah? I'm ashamed of it. Think of yourself as something else then. If anything's making you ashamed and there's something you can do about it, do that thing. Britain's just a concept. Don't think of... If you like being British, be it. If it's causing you to be negative towards yourself or other people, like some connoisseur of pessimism, stop doing it. Half of those caught out by benefits cap are spurred to seek work. I knew it. People on benefits, they're having the time of their life on those benefits. If we hassle them, they'll go and get jobs. Clearly, they just look for information that supports their worldview. The laundrette, 80 years old and still spinning. Well, what else is it going to do? Nothing. It's a laundrette. Laundry, we all have to do it, but few of us discuss it. That's because it's utterly mundane. That was some truths from the Express. Let's have a look at the wisdom of good old Krishnamurti. The sculptor creates in marble.